Yeah, this is Point Black, coming hard and off the car, coming with the flow straight from the barrio, and coming with the heat straight from the street. This is PBNN, Point Black, national news, the late and the great edition, coming with the facts, the crack backs, and the boom bit to the lion ass lips, because this is what we must do in all ways. You know what I mean? We have many people who choose to be in our government and, you know, completely make it a three-ring circus, really. But today, we're going to recap some news, you know what I'm saying? But before I get started, you know what I'm saying, I have to make this claim. Knock Rich showed a clip, you know what I'm saying, what most people would call a redneck or white boy or cracker, all that bullshit, really, which still doesn't define, you know what I'm saying, even when you say black, nigga, cool, yeah, it's the same stupidness. Now, in all ways, we see where the government have always kept us at each other's throat. One of the questions I need to ask many, uh, uh, you know, of the brotherhood, and of the Southern boys, you know who I'm talking about, the country real riders, if they put themselves in the rightful place, is what have black people ever took away from you that you could have such a vengeance and follow behind these demons? That's number one. Number two, when have black people truly ever, in your historical vow and your research, ever enslaved you? That's number two. Number three is when we twist this to the other side, we see where that same practice of slavery, persecution, this, that, the third, taking over of your country to where it begins a civil war and many, many other things. We know full well that 95% of all many Europeans prior came here, Irish and many other groups, as in slavery. They were enslaved even in Europe and expelled into slavery over here. So I'm still asking, what did black people take from you? The reason why we can see it that way is because black people have always been on the front line. You know what I'm saying? And they're still on the front line and will always be on the front line. You know what I'm saying? In the true heart of African Egypt, Kemet, you know what I'm saying? We are true fighters in all ways. And we know there's a great history of many fighters on the Caucasian side. The reason why you don't hear about them is because, in more ways than one, the crooked hierarchy that rules down and push forward push forward many of these ideologies to where black people, you know what I'm saying, in all ways gets to blame, gets the trickery, in order to rob, steal, murder, kill, yada, enslave, yada, yada, yada. You see what I'm saying? But the regular white people must ask themselves, if you are in their group, which we know you're not, then what group are in you? And why do you let them control your mind that way? When you know, if you go back and we was to open the doors of the historical things and the things that have happened to the Caucasians in many, many ways, will show the same shit in all ways. So even now, so while you let them control your mind in full separation of hate, killing, murder, such as what we see, see, with the Civil War and after the Civil War, and, for will and so on and so on. It was all in a trick, not just to control the black population who really were slaves and didn't have anything. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you feared they were going to take your jobs or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? But the blacks really had nothing. They were free from slavery and so forth on, many of them that were, and they moved on. But in order to have status that they can share out to their people abroad on their land, you know what I'm saying? Many were jealous of it, and they made sure that in the political arena, that the black people had no political voting power, because many of the voting power they knew would probably outvote them in many ways, and black people have always been doing that. But in the corruption of the bullshit that we know there is, we know that many of them have sold us out as well. Now, when you look on the white side again, you see the same shit. Like I said, the reason why you do not see many of the heroes that fought for all people, black, white, green, and purple, never get shown is because to these oligarchs and these Zionist people and all these cronies, in the deep state, they see that as you shaming them or you going against them. So now they're able to blackball you, they're able to silence you, they're able to do all these things to you, and the whole world might never know of him, you see. So the orchestration of division amongst the black man and the black man, the original man of the land, and the white man of his kind have come forward many, many years. The question I have is, why are y'all still fighting each other and separated? Because on one hand, we could simply say black supremacy. We don't know how well that would go and what it achieve. We could have on the other side white supremacy. But that is already in your government, my friend. It just determines on your affiliation. So in more ways than one, we must get rid of the old slavish mentality on both sides, the black side and the white side, and any other race that choose. We must form a true alliance that when you enter the kingdom of the house, we know that you're in the house because your name is announced and your loyalty to that alliance of the United States must be formed in the strongest bond on both sides. Because if a man's going to ride his last ride and fight his last fight, it must be alongside humanity, you see, of men or women, goddesses or whatever. And we must come across a lot of this racial divide. You see, the racial divide is a systematic thing, and it's sure not going to benefit the white Caucasians anywhere in this government or in this land to always be at the top of the ladder. So they're going to screw you over just like they did us and use their own kind to maintain that. Because like I said many years ago, what they truly fear is the unification. You see, and in this unification of protecting the United States, we must stand as men side by side as one in that unification because there's a job to be done. And we must fight as men if we find it necessary. The quote from the great Bob Marley, we must fight if we find it necessary. For we have confidence, we are confident, and we have confidence in the victory. We must stop the division on the white and the black side because this is how they were able to control you. This is how they was able to do just about anything they want to you. John F. Kennedy said it best. In more ways than one, in that same speech he had, he said it to me in all ways because when I heard it when I was younger, you know, playing reruns because I was born in the 60s, as you know, and I saying to myself, when they're playing it over and over, and I'm saying to myself, God damn, you see, Kennedy knew of it in more ways than one on his side, and probably even the black side, because I'm sure Kennedy then was tasting the nectar. But at the same time, you know what I mean, we know that this is something that has been going on. Now I'm saying to my Caucasian brothers out there, you know what I'm saying, a word, you've got to change now. Because you see, that type of rule in which you are building will only lead to continuous war rather than coming together as an alliance and crushing all wars, especially starting with our homeland. And we must bring all things into check. You know what I'm saying? And that goes for the brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, the Kemites and the Africans and Ethiopians or whatever they want to call us. We must see the same alliance. Because there are many that have of us in all ways have been betrayed. And that is a fact. There is no getting around it. So we've got to come together and we've got to let go of the double R theory: religion, racism. You know what I mean? We've got to let it go. If you're going to save your country and save yourself as well as I want to save myself and everyone else, because, you know, point blank loves you, baby. You know what I mean? We've got to come past the little petty, nonsensical mind frame of those who have been infiltrated by the sickness of their own. And that goes with the black and the white side. Let's just be straight frank about it. The unification at this time is a historical unification time to form the true alliance that we need to protect our country, our children, our grandmas, and have some form of tranquility. What we are looking at right now, always whether I don't know how far it will go until we hit kaboom, is a Ukraine war and a continuous backing by NATO criminal organization idiots are exacerbating it even more because it seems like they truly want to push Russia into invading America and so on. They have all kinds of ideology on this one. You could take a spin at it, but we know full well that it's not based on the common people. NATO does not speak for the common people. Why is NATO speaking for us while we scramble, kill, murder each other? Hate, hate bashing, and all types of negative shit continuously within many of our people who are in our race that needs to be flushed out, and many in the white race that needs to be flushed out, and true warriors must emerge. Don't think that they weren't great Caucasian warriors as well. Yes, they were. Just as mighty as the original men of the land. What do you think? They were fighters, they were warriors, and they fought many causes and many different things. You know what I'm saying? But they were driven by one mentality force by the form of religion in order to say that they're fighting for something. And the disagreement has always been. So we must free ourselves now, all of us. There's no time to lose.